FM Rewind Podcast.
Talking from the heart. Today with John Perlman. Kaya FM
95.9.
Very good evening to Afropolitan. 7 minutes past 6 in what looks like being a very dramatic week for South African politics. By the way, dramatic weeks. The standard that we've set over the last 24 months has been very high indeed. But one of the people very much in the spotlight is Minister of Public Enterprises, Pravin Gordhan. Why is he under so much pressure right now? And are some of his problems of his own making?
Talking from the heart. Today with John Perlman. Kaya FM 95.9.
Let's welcome now Tebogo Malatji, who is Pravin Gordhan's lawyer. Mr. Malatji, welcome and many thanks for your time.
Thank you. Good evening to you and your listeners.
If we could start off at the beginning of the show, I know you were in a meeting at that point, but we had Dr. Mcinc Ndlozi from the EFF, the Economic Freedom Fighters, talking about 33 questions that they sent to the minister. Can you give us any indication of how, when, or if at all the minister intends responding to those?
Well, I am briefed, remember, in relation to allegations pertaining to the SARS matter.
Yes.
And the minister's tenure then as Minister of Finance. I'm not on brief and I don't have instructions in relation to questions posed to him. His office normally handles those.
Okay, so that's not part of your brief. Let's focus then on the public protector matter. As his lawyer, did you at any point suggest to Pravin Gordhan that having any kind of public words with a public protector, while might be justified, perhaps wasn't the wisest of strategies, given that the government is talking very much about due process and restoring the faith in and state of state institutions?
Yes, remember, John, as lawyers, we offer legal advice.
Yes,
and at times we asked to go beyond that call of duty.
Right.
In this particular instance, the record needed to be set straight, and understandably so. The suggestion that there's a mere ignorance of the public protector's request was not correct, and that needed to be corrected. Most especially in circumstances where, imagine that you are accused of serious allegations, and those are not put to you in any form of documents, information, evidence, so that you can adequately respond to them. How do you defend yourself if you don't know what the allegations are and what they're based on?
So they sent you a letter in February. You responded with a letter. Did you at any point, I mean, I don't know if this is how lawyers work, and maybe you try to keep everything in writing, but was there any point at which you thought, well, let's pick up the phone because this could get messy? Because, I mean, you certainly would know, just as a citizen of the country, that this has been a very messy space for Pravin Gordhan, with cases being made, charges laid, then being withdrawn and so on. Did you ever pick up the phone to the Public Protector's Office and say, we responded, we haven't heard, what's up?
Well, let me put it to you this way. Firstly, start with the date of the complaint and the subject matter of the complaint.
Right.
It is an age-old matter, 2010. Now, we then say we seek information so we can respond.
Yes.
We don't get that information. Quite to the contrary, we're told, firstly, we're not the subject matter of the investigation. It's a preliminary investigation. And lastly, we shouldn't be too concerned because there's no evidence of any wrongdoing. Now, our position has been, if you want me to answer to allegations, then you got to put those allegations to me together with the evidence that support it so that I can respond. Now, in all of our interactions, of course, the Office of the Public Protector is a formal office.
Yes. So
no interactions really take place otherwise than in correspondence.
Okay.
And I mean, we did try to have a conversation or two, and I have put the call through, but the attitude of the office is we're a formal office, please write to us, we respond to you. That's how the office functions, understandably so.
What will happen on Wednesday then? What can you tell us about the encounter that is still to come?
Well, look, there are specific allegations that the public protector is looking at, and those are in relation to Minister Pravin in his capacity then as Minister of Finance, and the approval he gave for Mr. Pillay to retire early and for him to be re-employed by SARS. We expect no more questions than in relation to whether that decision by the minister at the time passes the muster of the law or not. As a matter of fact, on record, there's an affidavit presented to the Mcinc Commission,
yes,
which explains exactly precisely what happened in relation to that request and his approval. There's a lady called Ms. Hendricks who's given a very detailed affidavit about that. It's part of the record at Mcinc. So we're hoping to present that and say that is in fact what transpired back then, and to not have any other discussions on matters of law and that type of thing.
Will it be your advice to your client not to say too much about the timing of this thing, its possible relationship to things that the minister is doing in state-owned enterprises and so on, but to simply concentrate on what's in front of him and not link it to anything in the political ether?
Advice is that he must remain within the realm of the complaint made to the public protector and deal with that in essence, and stay away from any other suggestions of any sort that may suggest that the investigation is untoward or anything along those lines. So he'll be presenting facts to the public protector, and hopefully the public protector would then take those facts into consideration and the matter might be considered finalized. It is, after all, according to her office, at the preliminary stage of investigation.
Many thanks.